Welcome, and thank you so much for coming today to help us to celebrate our love. We're so excited to have you guys be part of our day. Thank you.
Thanks for coming. What we're going to share with you guys is our story of how Angela and I came together and how we're having this special day with you.
It's funny because it all started, well, technically, I guess when you joined Ignite U, but that was in January of 2019, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know you, but I would always hear people giving you shout outs like, oh, there's the roofer. And so, I knew of the roofer, but I didn't really know you. And so we think sometime around March or April, we sat at the same table. So for those of you who don't know what Ignite U is, it's our networking group. Because since we've talked about that day that we sat together and you remember me, I don't remember you. I don't remember that day. I mean, since you've kind of described it to me, I kind of remember, but there was nothing unique about it for me.
So fast forwarding a couple months.
Yep.
To June.
Your birthday was June 20th.
Okay.
And I sent you a happy birthday message, and your response was,
"Thank you, beautiful."
Yeah. And I was like, oh, well, that was super flirty. That's what my thought was. I was like, who is this guy? And I mean, I just knew of you as the roofer until that point, and even, still then. But I kind of just let it go. Didn't really think anything of it. And then on June 26th is when you gave your 6-minute presentation.
I found a Grand Ole Opry version that was 93 seconds long. I thought, oh, that'll be perfect because I only have 6 minutes. And then I succumbed to that being my message, talking about thanking God for unanswered prayers and life experiences that weren't what I expected or wanted in life throughout life, but they led me to where I'm at, and I'm happy and I'm fulfilled and I'm building a business and helping people. And that was my message, and I talked a little bit about the history of my company, but the whole point was to touch people's hearts so that they could see that, hey, things don't go the way you want, but you have a blessed and wonderful life, and it'll only get better. There's always going to be struggles, but and things aren't going to happen the way you necessarily want them to, but you have a wonderful life. It's going to be a wonderful life. You got to accept the joy and gratitude out of it, and it's what you make of it.
Yeah. And I wasn't the only person that was super impacted. I mean, there were lots of tears in the room and stuff like that. And I know you were a little bit nervous, weren't you, to sing?
Oh, yeah. I wasn't nervous to talk, as you can tell.
Yeah.
Right. But I was nervous to sing. I was I don't want to do this.
But it was so real and raw that it really spoke to people. And I actually spoke to you right before you went up. I actually offered you some essential oils. Do you remember that?
I do not. I was in the zone where I didn't know what was going on.
I offered to help you calm down, but you wouldn't accept. So I was like, you get up there and you're singing, and I was just like, holy cow, who is this guy? And obviously for the last couple of years, I had gone through so much stuff, my divorce. It wasn't what I had thought or planned or expected. And there was this person that I had liked and kind of wanted to date. It was just you singing that song just answered so many things. It's oh, it is okay to accept that life is what it is, just move forward, do the best that we can, and appreciate things. So it's all about our mindset and our mentality. But yeah, it was I literally sat in my chair and was just it's almost hard to put words to what I experienced because I just was in awe, I guess. So thanks for making that impact. That was a big part of why I was open to be oh, this guy's a cool guy. And so I listened to your podcast, binge listened. I literally had my headset in so that I could play it when I was walking into an appointment and play it as soon as I started walking out of an appointment. And I think I listened to the first 6 episodes right away. And then I messaged you and I was like, dude, we have to have a 1-to-1. Again, my perspective, you're a married person. I'm just thinking, we're just going to meet and talk, personal development, health, and, coaching, just being our best selves. It was my intention and my, idea. And then you started flirting with me. And, you were excited, right? You're like, oh, this woman, wants to hang out with me. And I was like, yeah, no, we're just having a one-to-one at the casino, which is where our networking group is.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, we should go to breakfast, my treat. And I was like, that's awkward. I was like sitting, meditating, journaling, praying, and I felt this really strong voice saying, what about Garrett? I was like, he's tall, and I don't want another tall guy. Literally. I know that is like so weird and just kind of, I feel like it's super judgy or stereotypical or something. But I thought, I don't want to be with another tall person. I want somebody who's short. So I was just like totally not even open to it. And then so we kind of chatted, and our one-to-one was on July 2nd. And we had chatted through that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And
because you invited me to go hang out with you.
yeah.
She invited me over, and I was like, oh, cool, she's into me, which I don't know if she really was yet. We chatted all weekend via Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
And on Tuesday morning, we met at, what's the cafe called? They're also in the group.
The Biscuit House.
The Biscuit House, just down the street
Yeah.
from the casino where we have that group. And why don't you tell that part too?
So when we walked into the Biscuit House, he hugged me. He actually might have hugged me in the parking lot. I can't really remember, but it was immediate that it was like more than just a one-to-one. It's like, oh, this is a date. And obviously,
Yeah.
you're super talkative, so our one-to-one was only supposed to be an hour, and you almost made me late. But no, like, it was just, we were talking, like constant, and it was just really great conversation that it was like, oh crap, it's been like 90 minutes or longer.
We did not want to end.
Yeah.
No. And we had a nice hug afterwards.
Yeah.
In the parking lot by your car.
Yeah.
And we couldn't wait to see each other again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that was July 2nd.
And then on
2019.
Yeah, on July 3rd. So on July 3rd, you asked me to be your girlfriend, and of course, we like kind of knew right away.
Yeah. So I had 3 appointments that day. I came over right where you see us sitting in the video at like 9 p.m. and we sat and talked until 4 a.m.
Yep.
Yeah, it just.
I remember when it was like 11 o'clock, I'm like, I usually go to bed before now. And then when it was 1 o'clock, I'm like, dude, it's way past my bedtime. And then we just talked for like another hour and another hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah. And we chose each other, and we were like, let's see what this is going to be. We just have been by each other's side most of the time since then. And I think I was like, yep, this is who I'm going to marry. And I probably only took like a week after that of like fighting it before I told you I loved you. But I knew in a few days. I was like, this is it.
Well, and in those first few days, I mean, we spent so much time, like in that first week, we probably spent more time talking and getting to know each other than most people do in like 6 months or a year. I mean, especially that first night, we were up until 4 a.m. I'm like, dude, I am so tired. I'm not even sure what I was talking about at that point.
Yeah, somewhere around 3 or 4, I got tired too.
Yeah.
So one thing that we did early on is we called them like come to Jesus meetings or come to Jesus's. Like if this was going to be the right fit for one another, because if we're going to make a commitment, it's going to be forever, for the rest of our lives. And we want to be able to serve each other and our community that God puts around us. And so we would just have those discussions, and there was lots of tears. So now it's like if we have something that comes up that's hard to deal with, we have a system for working through it now, for discussing it. And it's really grown us to be strong. And then early on, like 2 months in, we decided to go to premarital counseling.
Oh, yeah.
Before we were engaged.
Yeah, well, the pastor at my church had told me earlier in that year in February, somebody of your age, you're an adult, you've been married before, if you meet someone that you think you might want to date, you should do premarital counseling from the beginning of the relationship. You should go through and find out, are you compatible? Will this work? Before you're a year or year and a half in, and then be like, oh yeah, there's these things and these areas where one person isn't willing to change. So he had recommended that. And so when I brought that up to you and you're like,
Well,
okay, sure.
That's actually the pastor that's marrying us.
Yeah. So he's like, and a lot of people think that that's crazy because that's like not the norm. So a lot of people, when I would say that or tell them that that's what they're doing, they would be like, oh, well, that's weird. Or, oh, why are you doing that? And just kind of question it or kind of wonder. And I'd be like, my pastor said so.
So what the reason behind that
Yeah.
is that we have chosen and decide that we want God to be the foundation of our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that we want to serve each other and serve our communities, as I mentioned before, with Jesus Christ being our foundation.
Yeah.
And so that's why we're so happy to have you as part of this wonderful celebration of us coming together, because we've committed to having that be the way we live our lives. And that brings a lot of peace and joy and fulfillment. And we know that we're using our lives as a testimony of what we believe, and we want to share that with one another, with you. So then I wanted to figure out how to ask Angela to marry me, and we, because I had a custom ring made with Jessica, and I was like, but how do I give it to her? And we had this dream property that's still a dream property. We love it. And we were trying to figure out a way to go look at it. My mom's a real estate agent, and so I planned with my parents to go out there, and we'd make an afternoon of it in Buckley, and we went out to the property. And Angela asked my dad if he would take a picture of us with my fancy new iPhone, because I got the Pro whatever, and he took a couple pictures, and I said, I'm going to change the video format, stay standing here on this rock. And all I did is go and change the video format to record. And my dad goes, is it happening now? And that's what we're going to show you guys, is that video. And then the rest is history, which brought us here today to be with you.
I had told you, like, I don't care when or where or how you ask me, but I want it to be captured. So I wanted there to either be pictures or video. Yeah. And of course, I'm always telling you to use your phone because it's way better than mine, the pictures that it takes. So I totally played into what you had planned, and I had no clue because I had thought that we were going to have Asaph there. So I was like on radar, like waiting for when is Asaph there, checking things out or whatever. And, or when was one of our photographer or videographer friends around, and they weren't. So I had no clue. So you did
when we
really
were going there, you would assume somebody else was going to be there. Or you thought, if one of them is there, then I know this is the moment.
Yeah.
And since no one was there, and we're in the middle of the woods, it ended up being a surprise after all.
Yeah. So you did really good, I have to say.
While we were walking, my dad goes, how are you going to ask her? And I was like, I have no idea. The situation will present itself. I have faith. And sure enough, we get down to the creek bed, riverbed. And I was like, yep, the time is, when you asked my dad to take a picture, I was like, sweet. The time is now.
I definitely set it up for you. Not my intention, but I definitely did.
It's
obviously,
a Jedi mind trick, you say.
Yes. Yes. Thank you so much to each and every one of you and the role that you've played in this journey. We just are so grateful and so appreciative. Thank you.
Thank you.